Can the Steam Deck run virtual reality? Let's jump into it. One of the things to take into consideration about Valve is their involvement with virtual reality. They've been at the forefront of PC VR. However, that's not to say that other companies might not carry the torch for the foreseeable future. As Steam active users show, Oculus Quest 2 has taken a significant chunk of the user base on the Steam platform, and there has been some decline of users for many reasons that we can speculate, like the summer season, as well as Oculus taking market share from them. I'm sure that Valve is fully aware of this. But with all that said, what does the Steam Deck really have to do with VR? The first point I want to mention is that despite the fact that other platforms like Oculus and Viveport have been taking market share away from Steam, Steam is not exclusively for virtual reality. It's also a somewhat open yet very vast, established ecosystem where content can be made, published, shared, consumed, and modified, and soon to be taken on the go. Now, to help illustrate the concepts that I'm bringing up, I want to share my first experience with using the HTC Vive, which got me on Steam. I'm sure, like many others, we've asked ourselves when we got on Steam for the first time, where do we start? This is quite different from the likes of Nintendo, Xbox, and Sony PlayStation. What Steam Valve lacks in some areas of easeability of use, they more than make up for the availability and a broad spectrum of experience, even for those who like to tinker around. As an example, if you use the popularity of the Nintendo Switch, and if you have one, I'm sure that you absolutely love the idea that you have the option to take your games on the go. Valve is matching the success of the Nintendo Switch, but also filling out those other checkboxes that enhances the current trends while setting new ones. On top of that, most people will have one or more systems and possibly a PC, further closing the loop where an older library of games that you already have come with you, but also evolves with you. I believe this particular move by Valve is going to send ripples across the gaming industry, especially the ones with a closed ecosystem. I will use Nintendo as an example again, but this has nothing to do with bashing them, but I really want to help illustrate that Nintendo has a very strong IP legacy that helps drive their hardware sales. Since in certain scenarios you can't carry over or may have compatibility issues because there are games that are built for that particular ecosystem, and in some instances will have to be purchased again for another system. Let's be honest, Nintendo has been known to do that, just like Bethesda. The key points I want to suggest here, and it will relate to VR, has to do with developers adopting their ecosystem. What better way to do that than to involve them in an ecosystem that's more open, considering that it is a PC on the go? It's in direct contrast to the Oculus, Sony PlayStations, and Nintendos of the world, where there is a significantly large barrier of entry for developers to begin growing their audience. While they may lose market share from having an open system where people can install other operating systems and platforms on the Steam Deck hardware, what they're ultimately doing is removing attention from other competing hardware platforms. So even if people install other things on the Steam Deck, they're still on the Steam Deck. This, in effect, is where the end user, the player, who will have more options to consider, becomes the ultimate winner. This leaves the developer to reach an audience with fewer and fewer barriers, with more and more options. To drive this concept a little bit further, let's look at the Steam Deck from a controller standpoint and general specifications. It has a large number of button inputs, as well as gyro and accelerometer sensors. With that, what's not to say the controller can't be a virtual wheel for a car or even a position tracker for VR. In regards to its specifications, you can see that it's comparable to other devices within the category on the spreadsheet that I put together. I've also included what the specs are for Oculus Quest 2 and what the minimal PC requirements are needed to run PC VR. You can totally nerd out to the specification requirements that you can also access for free from my Google Drive if you wish. The link will be in the description below. So what the Steam Deck lacks in performance from a standard PC VR is still fares fairly well. It has an aggressive price, it's portable, and if you compare the specs to a standalone headset, the walls that separate the Steam Deck to do VR starts to fade away. Because the Steam Deck is essentially a PC, what's not to say that all development can't be done on the Steam Deck or just on the Steam OS Arch Linux platform. Steam has already provided the controller mapping because of the installation of Steam OS, and to top it off, VR applications don't necessarily need to run from the Steam library or even in their ecosystem. Now, I haven't tried it for myself, but keep in mind there are a number of games that already run on Linux. I've included the link in the description below. I believe Steam Valve's move is going to do more than just improve what the users are going to get, as they are also chipping away at the market share of the other bigger companies with the likes of Microsoft, who develops Windows. Obviously, this video is strictly speculation. However, considering that this looks to be a pretty big move by Valve, and judging by the crazy activity during the reservations of the Steam Deck and the positive coverage by the media, there are things we can feel very confident about. Just at the outset, the community is welcoming this product with open arms, meaning at least at this early stage, it's going to be a platform that people will use, whether it's for gaming or something else, which for me, I particularly like. The volume of reservations during the launch and the numbers that were leaked is a strong indication that it has a lot of momentum to put wind in their sails. It simply will attract users. And the next part, which is also important, it will attract developers, whether for VR or not. That in itself is exciting as well as encouraging. Given that development doesn't have to exist in the Steam library, developers now have more options to deliver their content. I also have to add that this would draw more attention to Linux as a solid target platform to develop on. I'm aware these things are available for Windows and Oculus SideQuest, but I'm more talking about the portability of VR experiences that can be developed on the x86 platform on the go without having that very large, power-consuming laptop. There are going to be a lot of positives with the release of the Steam Deck, and as more adoption continues, that too will attract developers. And I can only speculate that VR experiences will be made available for the hardware. I do have one gripe though that I want to mention, and it might be too late of a wish for Valve to do. However, there is no indication that the Steam Deck will support Thunderbolt. This is important in my opinion because it gives the user the option to expand the graphical capabilities of the hardware by connecting to an external graphics card. Being able to do that would also allow performance-heavy VR experiences to be played on the Steam Deck. In essence, supporting Thunderbolt would enable users to get more horsepower from the Steam Deck, potentially play PC VR games that require more GPU performance, and extend the life of the Steam Deck hardware itself. I believe all these things would be beneficial for the consumer. That's it for this commentary on the Steam Deck and why it's a positive sign for the VR community. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have a wonderful day, and see you soon.